And nose up. Man, she almost stalled it. There's the stall. Come on. This is how you stall out an entire wing. And it's going to be the left wing stalled. There it is. Pull the power out. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to X-Plane 10. Yes, finally back in a flight simulator. It has been a while, and I just been kind of burnt. I was kind of burnt out on it. I do fly a lot in my, my own time rather than recording it, and I just haven't been in the mood to fly. But that changed recently because the Airfoil Labs Cessna 172 SP came out, and this is an airplane that I trained in real life. And I've been really waiting for an amazing simulation of a Cessna 172 to be in X-Plane 10, and we finally have been given it. It is pretty much like the A2A simulations of X-Plane as far as that goes. Like, you can do a full pre-flight on the airplane, and we'll probably get into more depth. This is a first look, so we're just going to have fun. Right now, we can just walk up around the airplane as we want to with kind of like the basic controls of everything. They say you can use the roll and yaw to move the camera around, but I have not had any luck with that. We can take the tie downs off, take the chocks off, and so on and so forth. We can go around the whole thing, but we can also go to a quick menu here, and we can you can put it into a cold dark situation, secure the aircraft, or prepare for start. If we go to prepare for start, everything will be closed, the doors will be locked, and everything will be good to go. If you want a cold and dark situation, it will make sure that everything in there is cold and dark. Auto start, you could just start the airplane if you wanted to. This is the cameras. So this is exterior. You can change the FOV on the exterior right now. And when we are in the interior view, you can change the FOV inside of there as well. We can click on those for those preset, things like that. Moving along here, we've got the payload and fuel. So we can have as many people as we want, as well as it's a whole weight and balance for the airplane. So if you want to do fuel configurations and whatnot, you can. We're not going to get into that today. We're going to keep it pretty much how it is, 65% in both wings, and we've got pretty much good to go. Oil quantity is good, 7 quarts. So on and so forth. So you can see they've taken a lot of time into putting into this kind of stuff. S is the settings. You have GFX, you have dynamic view, you have simulated walk. I have that turned off right now. That's probably what causes you to walk around with your yoke. But I haven't had any any luck with that. Really cool is when you buy this airplane, you get the intro tutorial. This is where you go to turn it off. So if you want it on, you can click it on. If you don't want it on, you can turn it off, or you can change the volume as you need to be. But it's very nice. It gives you a nice overview of the airplane. They tell you a little bit about it and how to do things like that. You can change the logic with engine running at start with pilot inside, display footer panel, and so on and so forth. So you can have like start with pilot inside next time we load into the airplane. So that's pretty much it. And then the engine service panel is coming soon. As you can see, we'll be able to do pretty much everything you can in an A2A simulations kind of airplane on the FSX and prepared kind of world. By checking your starters, alternators, all that kind of stuff, and just it really gives the airplane a lot of life. Well, enough of just messing around. We're not going to do a full pre-flight. Eventually, we are going to probably fly this airplane a little bit on this channel. So if you guys like a Cessna 172 or you're very excited to see a flight simulation coming back to the channel, this is something that really inspired me, and I was really, really excited about it. So let's hop into the cockpit, and here we are. We are inside of the cockpit. Like I said before, we can go to the camera view, and here we have FOV. You can change the field of view inside of the airplane. I like about 83 degrees or so. That's fine. We're sitting here on the ramp at Spirit of St. Louis Airport. I think we're going to take off. We're probably going to go up to the off to the west in the practice area near Labadie, Missouri, and do some stalls and some slow flight, and just kind of get accustomed to the airplane and see how it behaves. Once that is done, we'll probably come back and do some touch and goes, or we might head over to St. Charles. I haven't decided yet. It will be up to us once we get in the air. So let's get the airplane pretty much ready to go. By default, you're not used to this. If you're used to, well, we have a flight control lock there. We can always take that out and have the airplane. But one thing you're not used to in an FSX or prepared or whatever is when you have a cold and dark situation, you rarely ever have the fuel shutoff valve pulled off. And to be honest, whenever I was in flight training, we never had that pulled off. we always made sure it was pushed in for the next guy so they wouldn't starve the engine on trying to fire it up. So if you can't start this thing, that is probably the reason. That's the culprit. We'll push that sucker in. Make sure our fuel is on both. If you run the left-hand side, you're going to be burning fuel off the left wing, obviously. But so we want to burn it from both, and it's a gravity-based system. So the gravity will flow to the center, and all will be well. So let's continue here. All we have to do now is just pretty much we'll turn a beacon on. We'll turn our master battery on, and you'll hear those magnetos. You'll hear everything fire up. Sounds absolutely beautiful. The sounds in this airplane are immaculate. And it's just a all-around amazing experience with this airplane I've had so far. Really, really, really liking it. The only thing so far that I haven't liked is the kind of counterintuitive way that they've done the camera system. They're kind of forced locked on you, and I haven't figured out how I can move around freely like I used to and make my own camera views. That's the only thing that I have noticed so far, but they give you a lot of different camera presets, as you can see. You have the pilot radio panel, you have fuel tanks, co-pilot passenger, passenger 2, passenger 3, and so on and so forth. You have all those, as well as you have, your basic keys where you can look around, and that's using the numpad there. I want to get back to where I just was. Oh, I bet it. Oh, because of pilot. Yep. See, and that's what I'm saying. The camera's kind of weird. Still learning it. And I haven't found too much documentation with this airplane that came with it. So maybe I missed it whenever I was going through the folders. Enough rambling on. Let's get this baby fired up. So we have the master battery on. Beacon light is on. And to start it, it's pretty much how you do like the A2A simulation stuff. And how you do a real Cessna 172. So if you're very familiar with a real airplane, this is how it behaves. What you have to do is make sure that fuel shutoff valve is in all the way. I know it's weird. When we were in flight school, whenever in is out, but out, whatever, that means it's on. You would think that it's off, but it's actually on. So let's fire it up. So we just need to turn the fuel pump on. So we'll crack the throttle. Like, we don't have to worry about the throttle right now, but here's our mixture, and I'm using my Saitek yoke and throttle system that came with the yoke, as well as Saitek pedals, if you're wondering what equipment I'm using. In a future flight from now, I was going to turn on the GoPro today, but I decided I wasn't going to do that, mainly because I didn't have a spot for it perfectly, and the battery was dead, so go Jeff. Let's go ahead and turn the fuel pump on. We'll hear that baby fire on, and then we'll push in here, and we're watching our fuel flow. We want that to get up to 5 on the gallons per hour. See how it's not climbing? See how it's doing that? Not doing anything at all? All right. It's very weird. It should be. Let's pull that out and turn it off. Let's double check and make sure everything's good to go. Usually this guy is the culprit, but I want to see that spike, and I haven't seen a spike yet. So let's try that one more time. Might be something I'm doing wrong. Let's go in. And it barely moves. Oh, well, honestly, you know what? I just got done firing this thing up off the runway and taxied over here. So it's engine's probably warm, and it probably has fuel in the engine already. We don't want to flood it. So let's just not worry about that. Let's see if it'll actually fire up, which it should. I really like the way they do the key system. They have little arrows left and right on the mouse. So you can click to the right magneto, left magneto, both. And then when you're in start, you just click on the start, and then we add fuel into it. So we'll crack the throttle and go to start. If we can. Come on. I'm hitting the wrong... Oh, I'm hitting the wrong key. That's why. Come on, baby. Nothing. There it goes. Okay, now we have the airplane fired up. Let's go ahead and get the avionics all good to go here. So we'll flip on the avionics master switch, and we probably need to turn these guys on. So we'll click this guy on. We'll turn this one on. Oop. There you go. It behaves just like the real avionics. Look at that. Absolutely incredible. Turn this guy on. This is our transponder. We'll turn that over to standby. Oop. There we go. Standby. And we're pretty much good to go. We have to find out what the local altimeter is, since we're using real world weather, and we'll adjust that on our barometer there. All right, I looked on my phone what the field is, and it's 2985. So let's go ahead and set our instruments here on the altimeter. 2985 is what we're going to want, which it's pretty close to be honest. Not in the middle there. That'll do good. All right, that little guy came on. we're good to go now. We're pretty much clear to taxi. We'll just release our brakes. And let's turn the taxi light on. And let's go ahead and taxi down to the runway. Have a look at the winds real quick. Again, using my phone. And on our way out, we'll test the brakes. Brakes are working. We're good to go. Winds are going to be 260 at 6. So we're going to take off runway 26 left, which is down here. And excuse the taxi lights that may be protruding through certain taxiways, and there's no taxiway lines and stuff. That's because X-Plane comes with a very limited scenery in the beginning. They have the scenery gateway, and they're working on pretty much on all that stuff. But I made this scenery, so that's why I'm not the best scenery designer in the world. And I didn't figure out in the WED editor program how to get the taxi lights to stop doing what they're doing, as you can see right there in front of us. So we're just going to ignore those and act like they don't exist. And let's taxi down to the runway. Okay. I like the sounds that it has. It's very, very true to life of a real Cessna. All right, as we taxi down to runway 26 left, I've noticed that the pilot is not animated inside the cockpit. I don't know if I haven't figured out how to do that pretty much, but we also do know that it was an option on one of these, I think on S, that it said you could start with the pilot. Man, I gotta slow down here. My brakes are really, really sensitive. Start with pilot inside on logic. So we'll remember that for next time. I don't know why it doesn't do that by default. And there's only one paint scheme so far on this. Again, this is a first look. This is not a full review or anything. And I know I said I was going to get around to making that Bandit review, and I still need to do that. I've just been so busy with LSPDFR and stuff like that. So it's not that like I forgot about you sim guys and everything. It's just, you got to understand, like, you know, if I'm not having, if I've got a lot going on and I get in an airplane and don't have my head with it, or, you know, enjoy it, it's not gonna be a lot of fun to watch, I don't think. So I try not to just like force myself to do certain things, even though I do want to make you guys happy and show you some simulation stuff. What we're gonna do is we're just going to, since the winds are 260, we're gonna just do a run up right up here. So let's go ahead and spin this guy around here to the right, and we'll see how good the brakes hold. Man, they're very, very sensitive, but that could be my controls, you know. So I'm not blaming it on anybody but myself. So there we go. That is set. Let's keep our idle at about 900. We won't foul our fuel plugs, and we can lean a little bit too. Actually, we'll go full mix for this. So all we have to do now is just run it up, 1800 RPM. Ooh, man, sensitive throttle. 1900 or so, that's probably good enough. And we're going to check for the 50 drop on the magnetos. Let's do the right one first. There's the drop. Back to both. Left one. There's the drop. Back to both. Green temperature, green oil pressure, green fuel flow. VAC is in the green. Amps look good. Fuel quantity is double checked. We are on both. All right, let's box the controls. So we'll go left, back. Actually, let's show you how I'm doing this with the rudder. So we'll go left, back, left rudder, right, forward, and good to go. So we box the controls, free and correct. Good, pretty much good to go. We're not worried about our flaps. We don't need those for takeoff. We can double check our trim, make sure it's set for takeoff right there on the thing, which it is. And we're pretty much good to go. So we'll turn our taxi light off. Landing in a strobe will come on, and we can go full mix and release the parking brake, and let's taxi over here to runway 26 left and take off. Rotation should be at 55 knots, closer to 60 there. And climb out speed, we're going to shoot for 80 knots, and we're just going to head off west and see how the airplane behaves in slow flight and under stall characteristics. We'll do a power off and power on stall. All right, coming up here on runway 26. Everything looks good to me, if it's good to you. And we'll go full power. Let's go flying. A little bit of right rudder. Is that P factor coming into play? Looking very good. Airspeed's alive. 50, 55. Rotate. Very nice. Wow. That's how an airplane should behave right there. Come right off the ground like that. And we'll just use our trim right now. And we're going to get on that 80 knots. So let's bring that nose up and bring it down a little bit. We want to climb out at 80 knots. So the trim's a little sensitive for my taste, but it's not bad. You'll get used to it. All right. And we have a nice climb out about 80. But you can see how it's like hunting up and down whenever I click that. So it'd be nice if that trim was a little less sensitive. I like really slow trims. I don't like fast trims, especially in light GA airplanes. There's no reason for it, you know. What a beautiful day. It's not bad. Very hot here today in St. Louis, and we might run into some turbulence and whatnot, but it probably won't be until about 1,500 to 2,000 feet if we do get any. And it's kind of earlier in the day, so it's hard to say if we're going to hit that, hit the thermal. That heat has started to begin. So as you can see off to our left there, those are the smokestacks. That's Labadie, Missouri. And if any flight schools fly out of CASUS, then Spirit of St. Louis Airport, then they would fly over there and we'll do our stuff there. Actually, right now what we can do is get this guy. Let's do direct. And then what we're going to do is CASUS. So let's go. Remember how to do this. EFGHIJKLMNOPQRS. And we'll go to the little guy again, and then we'll go to you. Let's actually go back since it'll be faster. There we go. And then small guy over, and then we want to go to S. Actually, we'll do it this way. We need to watch our airspeed and everything here in a second. There it is right there. Hit enter. Activate. There we go. That way we can navigate back to the... Oh, this thing flies beautifully. Look at that. So now we can get that 90 knots. We'll bring that nose down a little bit. And we'll cruise over here. We're going to climb up to 3,000 feet, which we're almost to. Actually, let's do 3,500 today. I think that'll be good. Wow, this thing flies like a dream. Absolute dream. Oh, we can click this thing over to GPS if we want for nav GPS mode. If we wanted to use an autopilot to fly back, which we are not going to do. So we're going to climb out to 3,500 and we'll reduce our RPM down to 2,200 RPM for cruise. And all will be well. We forgot on our transponder, not that we're flying online or anything or that it matters. We want this guy to be over here on alt. And we want 1200 squawk, which is VFR. Coming up on 3,500, so we'll pull our power back here. The yoke's kind of in the way, but we're going to bring the nose down a little bit more. Trying to see what we are. There we go. Okay, she's doing all right. Bring that nose down a little bit more. Yeah, that yoke's kind of right in the way of the RPM gauge, as you can see. There we go, pulling that power back a little bit. Bring that nose down. The pitch trim is pretty sensitive, I won't lie. But that's okay. And when you fly the real one, you know, you fly with a lot of them that some have electric trim, SPs kind of do. Some have that like kind of cable pulley one. Okay, let's bring this thing down a little bit more. Wow, this thing's ballooning like crazy. I really wish the trim was not that sensitive, but what are you gonna do? All right, we're cool now. We're in the green. Bring it back down. Jeez Louise. She climbs like a bitch, don't she? All right, come on down. This is kind of ridiculous. But we can't get this. There we go. Okay, now 2,200 RPM. Throttles are really sensitive too. I might need to adjust some dead zones or something like that. Not really sure if it's on me. Okay, back down to 3,500 feet. I want my view out the window a little bit here up. There we go. Now we're at 3,500 feet. So if we were on our BFR or something, we would have been in trouble. But we're not. We're just flying for fun. So we're pretty much near the Labadie stacks. Let's do some clearing turns, make sure there's no traffic, which there is no traffic in X-plane right now. So We'll turn to the right. We'll look out the window here. Do some clearing turns before we do any maneuvers. Keep an eye on our altitude. Maintain 3,500. Using that trim the best I can. It's very sensitive, but I think my controls are very sensitive. I think that's the issue here. There we go. Back to the left, holding the 3,500. Oop. Losing altitude, bring the nose back. And we're just checking for traffic. And we look good. We'll come out, roll out here on a southern heading, and we'll do some maneuvers. So first maneuver we're going to do is a tight turn, or steep turn actually, 45-degree angle. So we'll set the power where we want it, 2,200 RPM, back where it was, 3,500. We're on a south heading, and we're going to do a full 360-degree turn and come back on south, maintaining 3,500 feet, and but we will be doing a 45-degree turn. So let's do it. Turn to the right. Let that nose drop. Maintain the 3,500. But don't look at the instruments. You can glance at them once in a while in a steep turn, but you pretty much want to look outside so you can gauge how the airplane's flying. You can see it's starting to drop a little bit, so we bring our nose up, but we're still doing good. We're going to roll back off on the southern heading, all the way back around. Bring our nose up, and we're getting closer to the south. Come on, back over, baby. And there's the road there, so we know that that's where south is going to be. And we roll out at 3,500 feet. Let's do one to the left. It's a little more jarring. I like the camera movements. It gives you those G-force effects that you would get. I remember in flight training, we used to do these turns, and man, it is a really cool experience. If you like positive Gs, you would love this maneuver. It's a lot of fun. Okay. Bring that nose down a little bit. And I'm looking outside the airplane. I'm looking at the horizon. I'm looking at the ground. I know the roads over here go to the south, so when we roll off, we'll be on the southern heading if we start rolling off now. There we go. Nice. Not bad at all. So let's set this baby up for a power off stall. What we'll do is we'll pull our power back like this. You want to get into arc, go first setting the flap. The airplane do its thing. Next setting the flap, we can dump all our flaps in. Add a little bit of power. It will be 1,500 RPM. 15 to 1,700. There's 45 knots. We'll bring that nose down. And then we want to pitch for, I believe it's been a while, but I thought it was 70. I think it pitched down for 70 or 60 we used to do. And then pull the power completely and bring the nose up. Nose up. Let it stall. There's the stall. Bring the power in. Not bad at all. And then whenever you come out of your stall, you want to make sure that the airplane is, you're bringing the flaps up in increments, not all at once, because you'll lose all that lift that you just had. We want to make sure it's cleaned up before we bust our flap speed, which is right there at that line. So flaps are all the way up now. And let's do a turn to the left, 3,500 feet. We'll do a standard turn. 30 degrees. And we'll roll off on the northern heading, and we'll do a power on stall. I'll show you that. Bring the nose down a little bit. A little bit to the right. There we go. And there's the Missouri River right there in front of us. Very beautiful. Coming up on the northern heading. We can look at those roads on the ground and know what our heading is without having to look at the heading indicator. Okay, there's that sensitive trim I'm dealing with right now. Really starting to make us climb, so let's pull our power back a little bit. Get back down 3,500 RPM. So this one's different. We just, we'll be doing a power on. So what we're going to do is kind of set up like we would for the power off stall. Bring the nose up. We'll pull our power back to 1,500. And we're not going to use any flaps on this one. Almost to 1,500 there. Come on, baby. And nose up. There's 1,500 right there. Bringing that nose up. We want to get into this I'm using some more trim there. Not liking the sensitivity of it, but it's all right. There we go. So now when we do that, 45 knots, we'll add that power, and we're going to have to add the, well, I don't know, the torque doesn't seem to be right. I should have to use a lot more rudder than I am, but that's okay. Let's add a little more power, and now we just want to stall the airplane by exceeding the angle of attack. So you can see we'll stall at a much higher airspeed. Bring that nose up. Man, she almost stalled it. There's the stall. Come on. This is how you stall out an entire wing. And it's going to be the left wing stalled. There it is. Pull the power out. Break the stall. Bring that nose up. And we're good. And recover. Not too bad. I mean, that, to me, if you guys, you know, if you're flight training or if you really want a realistic sim, X-Plane 10 and this airplane right here, my God, that is some of the most realistic stalling I've ever seen. I mean, that's stalled out the whole left wing like it would in a real life situation. So we're up 4,000 feet. Let's head back to the airport. We'll shoot a left downwind for runway 26 left. And let's descend down to 1,500 feet. So we'll pull our power back. Pretty much in this situation, like we used to do in flight training, you just pull it back to about 1,500 RPM and let her coast down. Because a good rule of thumb is about 500 feet per minute on our descent, so we don't go too fast. But once you get to the airport, you'll be pretty much good. Right now, as you can see, we are 6.9 miles, so we're well within 10 miles. And if they were Class D airspace, we would contact tower and let them know. So we're still there about, bring the nose up a little bit. We want about 500 feet per minute. But actually, we can pull the power back to idle and bring the nose down even further. There we go. Really, really liking this airplane so far, guys. I'm going to put the link for it in the description. I believe it's $34.95, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure it's right at $40. But this is one hell of an airplane for $40, guys. I mean, it's amazing. And they've even talked about how they're going to be adding a lot more features to it, updating it. They're very active on their with their customer base, and that's always a really good thing when you're getting into it. When you head to an airport like this, we want to kind of intercept our left downwind at a 45-degree angle. But today it doesn't really matter. We're all right. We're probably going to fly about 1 DME from the airport. And DME is distance measuring equipment. Excuse me. I have like hiccup / burps from coffee. Gotta love that. Coffee. Let me tell you, in a GA airplane, whenever you're in the morning and when I was doing flight training, coffee sounds amazing. Like you're like, oh my God, coffee's so good. Don't bring it with you in the airplane. It's usually not a good time. In a small little GA airplane like this, when you're getting tossed around, it's pretty ridiculous because turbulence can sneak up on you very fast. Very, very fast. But really loving this airplane so far. Man, it just flies so smooth. I need to check the settings I have for realism or something, because I'm not getting any torque off the engine. I'm not getting any having to do much turn coordination at all. So it's on a very easy level, it feels to me. It doesn't mean that it's wrong. Let's test our annunciator panel. Good to go. All right. I'm a little rusty on my old descent checklists and stuff, but it's all good. Still coming down. Nice 45-degree angle to intercept about a 1.5 mile left downwind for 26 left. And we know the winds are 260 at 6. So they're blowing right down the runway at 6 knots. So keeping that in mind, 260 is to our left, just shy of west. And that's when we're looking down at the ground right now at the trees. Like, look at the trees like right here in this area, and look at our nose, and you'll see if we aren't turning and we just let the wind blow us, look at it, blows us to the right, because that's what the wind's doing. So bring the nose back to the left a little bit there, and it's good to go. Just using a little bit of left aileron is all we're doing there. Actually, I think we'll shoot about a 2 mile DME for this. 1.5 is a little close. And I know that seems kind of weird, but in flight training, you want to be as close as you can to the runway, because if you have an engine quit, you want to be able to make your runway if you can. So there's 1500. We're going to add our power back in about to 2100 RPM. Bring the nose down. Man, that's all that trim we had from that power on stall. There we go. Nice. Let's get set up for our first landing in this thing ever. 1400 is about going to be good since, we're about 500 something AGL. And pad our altitude's about 800 feet. 2100. Okay, there we go. We're going to be about 1.5, and then we'll turn left downwind. Okay, 1300. We bring the nose back up a little bit. I'm just getting used to that really sensitive guy there. Okay, there's 1.3. That's probably going to be good. We'll turn to the right here. Pull our power a little bit. And what we'll do is we'll come to the threshold of the runway. We'll go 1500 RPM. We'll pitch for our flap speed. We'll put in 10-degree flap, and then we'll be 45 degree from the threshold, and we'll pitch for that 80 knots, and we'll turn our base. It's gonna be pretty much a short base to final. So far so good. Okay, about 1200 is gonna be nice right here. That's not too bad. Coming along nice here. Looking out to our left. And let me tell you, I cannot wait for a plugin for the Oculus Rift. It's going to just bring flight training to a whole new level in X-Plane. Bring this back over. Okay. 1100 is going to be what we're kind of shooting for here. And we're just keeping an eye on the side. And also, I do need to get my track IR working. I have a track IR clip. I don't have the Pro. I don't have... Oh, my God. Okay, we just had wind shift there of weather. That was lovely. All right, so we're at the threshold of the runway. We're going to pull our power back to 1500 RPM, pitch up. And that's going to get us back on our altitude we kind of want, so we can dump our flaps in. So we'll go now 10-degree flap. And we're going to be pretty much 45 from the threshold like this. So we'll let that nose come down. We'll pitch for that 80 knots left. And we'll go next set of flap. 1500 is very realistic here. And that's one of my gripes with FSX and those platforms, is that 1500 RPM does not seem like it was whenever I used to fly. So bring that nose down a little bit more. And we'll turn final on final. So we'll bring that nose, pitch that airspeed. We'll power for altitude and pitch for airspeed. Let's bring that nose down. Let's go final on final. There's our final setting to flap. And we turned a little early. I wanted to make sure that we were going to be all right on airspeed. Let's trim this thing down, so we'll get that 70 knots. Down you go, baby. Down you go. All right, cool. Altitude's looking good. And we'll just kind of coast it over here to 26 left. Not a big deal. I think we'll be a full stop. We aren't going to do a touch and go, mainly because we just keep the video as short as possible for our first time. Coming on the VASI lights there, red over white, looking good. We can gauge that for our visual approach. Almost to the piano keys. When we cross the piano keys, we're going to go idle. And we will round out to flare. So let's get closer to that. Bring the nose up. Looking good. That 70 knots is looking good. There we go. Over the piano keys, we'll go idle. And bring that nose up. Flare. Little left rudder. Trying to get the airplane to kind of cooperate here. A little bit more. Left wing. Ooh. And we're down. That wasn't terrible. Wasn't the best, but it wasn't terrible. Okay, so on the ground, I'm noticing that the P factor's there, torque is there. We have to use a lot of rudder on the ground, but in the air, it just seems like we don't have to use much at all, and I'm not really sure why it's doing that. I'll have to look into that, and I'm gonna have to get a little more acquainted with this airplane. Man, I need to adjust my brake sensitivities. That's just absolutely obnoxious, but that's nothing new. Remember in my previous videos, I've had issues with that before in the past. So we'll clear the runway here. Once we would cross our little runway threshold, or our little line there, we would go ahead and flip this guy over to standby, which we can do now. And we don't need our landing light on anymore, or the strobe. And we'll taxi into the ramp. via this taxiway, whatever one it is. I mean, this was one of the first sceneries I made in X-Plane, and I think it turned out pretty good. I think it did. It's very crude, so please don't ask for it or anything. It's literally using the airport editor and all that good stuff. But I've got to say, it's pretty darn awesome. We're going to park where we started, right over here by this Lear 60. Might be a Lear 45, but it looks like Lear 60. We'll pull this guy over to the right. A little bit more brakes, and we'll spin it around. A little more power. There we go. Straighten it out. Very nice. We'll come to a complete stop. Let's go ahead and pull our parking brake. Beautiful. And then we will kill the engine. There she goes. And she's good to go. That landing wasn't too bad, I've got to say. We'll turn our avionics off. We'll turn the magnesium battery on there, off, and then the battery comes off. We'll hear go wing. Oh, we didn't put our flaps up, but that's all right. We can just keep them down for now. Not the end of the world. Oh, look at that. The props moving around a little bit. Very, very, very cool airplane, though, guys. I hope you enjoyed the flights and the first look at this beautiful recreation of a Cessna 172 SP. And leave a comment below and tell me what you thought about it. And I'll see you guys next time on a future episode of X-Plane 10. Take care.